One thing that I can do in the export settings is choose to export the images that are associated with those records. That can be useful as a way of quickly pulling out images that are related to a specific set of records so that you've got those in a self-contained folder to send to somebody. Perhaps you had a researcher that was asking you for images of a particular artist's works and you had permission to forward those images onto them. The export tool is the easiest way to quickly pull out all of those images. So let's say we wanted to do that for the 3 vases that I've already got selected. Whenever I'm choosing export or XML export, the formatting options has this panel at the bottom. So that lets us take both the record data, which we exported before, and export the associated audio-visual files to a folder at the same time. There's a few different filters we can apply. You might decide that the person that you're sending these images to should only have access to images that have been deliberately flagged as full public access. So I could narrow that down and say only the ones where the images have been flagged in that way. And then you can also say whether you're wanting all of the images from each of those object records or just the primary image. We then have to say a folder that we're going to send these images to. So it's going to pull them all out of the original location. If we don't specify a folder, it'll just create a folder which is the name of the file plus media on the end, but I'll give it something a little bit more meaningful. I'll just say images. And then we can run that. And so if I go to my export folder, we can see we've got a folder for images, and it'll have subfolders for each of the source images. So I had 3 different vases, and we've now got a copy of the original images for those 3 different records. The person that you're wanting to send these images to might not also be allowed to see the high resolution images. You might specifically want to give them a smaller sized version. Or perhaps the way that you're sending them, maybe by an email, is going to limit how big you can send those images as a file. And so you can, through the formatting settings, change what size of image is published as part of that. So if I go back to the formatting options, instead of choosing the default size, I can specifically override that and choose a smaller derivative size. So it'll take the original image and it'll generate a smaller size. And so there's a whole set of different pre-built sizes in Vernon. If we clicked on the go to highlighted term, we'd be able to see exactly what the dimensions and setting for each of those are. I'm going to choose to do extra large. And if I go to that highlighted term using this button on the toolbar, we can just see that that's automatically going to resize the original so that it can't be more than a maximum of 1200 pixels on either side. And it's also defining what type of compression it's using within the JPEG copy that it's going to make. So I'll choose X large there. And I'll rerun that. And we'll now have one extra folder in that temp folder that we were looking at before. We've now got an extra folder for that specific derivative. So it puts it in its own folder because it lets you generate more than one different size at the same time. So if I chose that I wanted medium size images and extra large, then we'd see 2 folders there. And underneath that folder, it's got the same structure of images under it. But then if I looked at that particular image and see the properties in Windows, we'll see that the longest size has been automatically resized down to the 1200. And so that's an easy way to quickly resize images that you've got in Vernon to get out of the system to reuse for any other purpose. You might be just using that personally as part of your job because you need a resized image to use in a blog post. So that's a quick way to select some records and then export the related images into their own folder.